Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Probation Officer's Perspective. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to all so you'll be notified of all the new content that I'm pushing out. And I want to thank everybody for their support, all my subscribers, everyone that tunes into my channel. All right, so let's dive into, let me turn my light up here. So, as you've seen in the thumbnail, the mass deportation targeting. Is it fact or fiction? Are they targeting Mexican nationals? Because I've seen a big buzz on YouTube and some other channels where they're focusing on, they feel like that Trump's mass deportation, that he executive order, it has to do with only Mexican nationals, and people are protesting and things like that. Now, I watched a very interesting town hall. It was called a town hall meeting on ChicanoTube, where he had, I believe it was 6 different, people on there, some content creators, and others were just there. And to get their feedback, and they were all Hispanic, and to get their feedback on the mass deportation or the deportation period about illegal aliens. And it was very interesting because you got a lot of different opinions and a lot of different ways of thinking. So it was very good. So shout out to ChicanoTube, and shout out to Nino America, Cholo Trucker, because they were on there and they just told it like it was, and I give them much respect for that. So let's get into it. First off, I want to show, okay, so I was born and raised in Salinas, California, and my family has been in that area since, I want to say, well, I know from the 20s. My mom, rest in peace, is no longer here, so I cannot ask my mom anymore. But she did tell me about this before. She had given me pictures of the family. Some of my great uncles I did meet, and aunts, when I was little. But they came from Portugal through Ellis Island, and they ended up settling in Watsonville. And that's where they worked in the orchards in Watsonville. So that's my family history, and they've been around, and I think my mom was around 3 or 4 years old and she was born in, I think, 42. She was like 3 or 4 years old when they moved to Salinas, and they lived on Williams Road. I think it was Williams Road in Alisal. But that's just a little background. I'll show you a picture here. It made the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle in 1927. So let me get myself smaller here, and then that way you can kind of see. Whoa, way too far. I gotta make myself real small. So as you can see, let me put myself down here. That's better. It's the San Francisco Chronicle. It's kind of cut off, but 14 children bring joy to a home of Watsonville pair. February 16th, 1927. That's my great-grandparents right there. And these are all my great-aunts and uncles, and all my great-grandma and grandpa there in the center, and then all my great-aunts and uncles and my grandma, in the picture, all the kids, 14. And I think there might have been more. They may have lost. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But anyways, my great-grandfather, as you can see, Mr. and Mrs. Manuel R. George. Now, my mom told me that my grandfather's name was Manuel Jorge Rodriguez George Jorge. His middle name was Jorge, and as you see, his middle initials are, because it's The last name is Rodriguez. And she said back in those days, because of, being an immigrant and things like that, he changed his name to his last, or he just switched his name around. Instead of using Rodriguez as his last name, he used George. And for whatever reason, back in those days, they did. But they lived in Watsonville. My grandma grew up in Watsonville, for the most part. And they worked in the orchards. Now, my mom, my grandmother, and some other family members moved to Salinas, and they worked in the fields back in the day. So that's just a little back history of how long my family's been in Salinas. And if you're not familiar with Salinas, California, they call it the Salad Bowl because of all the agricultural that's there. From, like, I remember when growing up there as a kid, what was it, 2 blocks behind my house, El Dorado Park was right there. And then from that point forward was nothing but fields. And we used to go out in the fields all the time. And, they grew everything. Lettuce, cauliflower. I mean, they just grow everything there. Now it's houses and schools, and they still do, they have a still big agricultural presence, but not as much as they did back then. Because now, man, I remember the first time, because I moved away when I was an adult. And when that first time I came back to visit, because I still have family, and then all my friends that didn't move away, that I grew up with, from the neighborhood, all my homies, just everybody. And I was blown away. Like, what happened to the neighborhood that I lived in, where El Dorado Park was. It was crazy. But anyways, let's keep going. Just a little background of my history. So I do know my history on Salinas. My family has been there for many, many centuries, or decades, I'm sorry. Many, many decades. Probably centuries. 1 century, maybe, whatever. So, let's get into this. Now, the next thing I want to play is, I would like to play, or not play, I want to show you whatever all the uproar was about with what started this immigration uproar within the community. And it was down in Bakersfield in Kern County. And I actually got to comment on that community hall that Chicano Tube held, or on his channel. And he did, because I was pointing out, because some of the people on the panel were saying, oh, it's all targeting the Mexican nationals, or the Mexicans, and no, the Hispanics. No, it wasn't. And here's the other thing. When did it happen? It happened January 10th or January 9th. And guess what? Who was president then? Joe Biden was. That's right. Let me get myself up here on the screen. I don't know why I'm not on the screen here. Let me get up here. There we go. So, who was president at that point? Joe Biden was. Okay, have they ever done any raids since Joe Biden's been president? Not that I know of. He opened the border. He just said, hey, the border's open. And it wasn't necessarily, and a lot of people want to put that, maybe people that aren't, informed or misinformed, then no, it doesn't mean people coming from Mexico. But we had a lot of people coming from all kinds of countries: Russia, Iraq, Iran, China, Venezuela, Guatemala, all these people coming, but they came through the Mexican border. They came through the southern border. The Mexico border, yes, the southern border. And, that created a big thing. And that's where I think the misinformation comes in, where they believe that it's just targeting the Hispanic community or the hardworking Hispanics that come from Mexico that are here illegally. I'm not saying, look, the word illegally, that people don't understand that. And somebody made a point to say, because it's okay, so it's a law and it's illegal to do that, right? And somebody had said something like, well, they should just look the other way because they're hard workers, whatever. Okay. So it's illegal to, I'm just going to put it in this way, whack someone, all right? So if you just go out and whack people, that's illegal in this country. But he works a good job, or he works a job and he's there every day. So he got a pass on that because, he works every day. So him whacking people, we should just turn the other way. No. But I want to get this out there so that people understand they're not going after the hard workers. They're not doing it. It's a scare tactic that the mainstream news media is putting out there, and they're making it seem like they're only going after the Hispanic community, and that is not true. So anyways, I want to break this down real quick. This was under Biden. Now, why would Biden do something like this? Just like while Trump was doing his speech at the inauguration, Trump's pardoning his whole family and every single person that was involved in the January 6th committee and things like that. Well, now, why would you do that? If you don't have nothing to hide and you did everything right, why would you need to pardon yourself and all these people? Or, why would you pardon your whole family and all these politicians or other people? The worst one of all, Dr. Fauci. Why would you pardon him if he didn't do anything wrong? I mean, you stood behind him. Everybody stood behind him. You see what I'm getting at? Why would he do this? And I'm going to tell you why he did it. They have been trying to smut Trump up, to make him look like the bad guy and they're the good guys, which we all know. Look, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm not a registered anything. Do I vote? Yes. Well, you know what I consider myself is a common sense party. I'm the common sense party. Common sense says for the last 4 years, our country has went to shit. Financially, economically, everything. Now, I seen what Trump did while he was being impeached twice and all the stuff he was going through and still maintaining as president, back in 2017 and during his term. He's a businessman. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. He runs it like a business and he's very good at what he does. Do I like the man personally? No. A lot of people say, I don't like him, so I'm not voting for him. Well, that's your choice. Just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean I'm not going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for him knowing their track record or what they've done. And I know what he did before, and that's why I'm going to back him now. So let's get into it. I took too much time on that. So Kern County, California, the U.S. Border Patrol has released more details on what has been coined Operation Return to Sender by the agency. It resulted in 78 being arrested who were unlawfully present in the U.S., according to Border Patrol. So we have to look at, again, you got to understand, what the heck? Pop-ups. So you got to understand, like I said, Trump wasn't even president yet. So it was kind of a slap, just like he did so many other things. The El Central Sector Border Patrol agents were in Kern for 3 days chasing down individuals who have, in Border Patrol's words, broken U.S. federal law, trafficking of dangerous substances, non-citizen criminals, and disrupting the transportation routes used by transitional crime organizations. The agency said they had over 60 agents throughout the Kern County in marked and unmarked vehicles. Now, here's the thing. There was people saying, oh, they were arresting people. They were laughing about it. They were throwing their food away. And just a bunch of other stuff. We have bigger things to worry about than that. But how do you know? Were you there, or are you going off somebody's word? You know what I mean? That's not the point. The point we're trying to get out here is, A, Trump wasn't president, so they had whatever orders they got it from who? Joe Biden. So all you people that voted for Joe Biden and the Democrats, whatever, you can thank him. Okay? So if you're one of these people that voted for him, you can thank him. But there's a twist to all this. Everybody said, oh, they're going after. The farm workers weren't going to work. People weren't going to work. They weren't leaving their houses. They were afraid. Okay? The El Centro sector takes all border threats seriously, and Chief Patrol Agent Gregory Bovino, our area of responsibility stretches from the U.S.-Mexico border north as mission and threat dictate all the way to the Oregon line. Of the 78 arrested, one was convicted of raping an 8-year-old girl, while another had a warrant for a sex offense against a child out of Visalia. There were multiple arrests for large amounts of marijuana, possession of methamphetamine, and DUI convictions, according to the Border Patrol. Border Patrol went on to mention that the other subjects arrested had criminal histories that included charges such as failure to appear, tampering with the vehicle, petty theft, felony drug possession, vandalism, burglary, inflicting injury on a spouse, and child abuse convictions. All subjects arrested were from Peru, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Ecuador, Mexico, and China, according to the Border Patrol. So, you see what I'm saying when people say, they're targeting the Hispanics, the working Hispanic community, and no, they're not. There's proof right there. But again, Trump was not the one in charge at this time this happened. All right. I'm going to get that off the screen and make myself bigger here. Again. Because I hope I helped you there and I debunked that situation. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I just caught this on the news this morning, and I wanted to share it with you so you can see what they're doing with this mass deportation. They are going after criminals. So what they did in this, the news is going to speak about it. They went to Boston. They were in Boston, of course. They're everywhere, but they were in Boston doing their sweep. And Boston is a sanctuary city. And you'll see the reaction of at least one of the people being detained. So they did their raid. But listen to what they were charged with. Now, are there, I'm not saying that all Hispanics work in the fields. In where I lived in Salinas, they used to come over. My best friends, especially my next door neighbor, he was my best friend. His stepdad was... he went through the process of his immigration and got legally, because he was working, in the fields. So he got legally, he did it the right way. Then he came to, the United States, and then he brought my friend, his brother, his mom, and that family over. Okay. And some aunts. I think he had aunts and cousins living there too at the time. But when they first moved in, but they all worked in the fields in Salinas. Did anybody ever mess with them? No, they did not. Nobody ever messed with them. Nobody ever messed with any of the ones. I'm not saying they didn't do raids and sweeps back then. I grew up. I grew up in the 70s as a child. and I was an adult in the 80s, so that tells you. But things like that, you didn't really see a lot. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but as my recollection, like him, they never left. And I think maybe his mom eventually got her citizenship, but I know his stepdad was first. He came over, got a house, which was next door to our house, and worked in the fields. They made their garage into an apartment so that more family members could come. They would work during the season in Salinas, and then they would go down to Arizona, and then they would switch back and forth. When the season was over there, then they would come back up to Salinas. And I think it was Yuma. They went down to Yuma. So anyways, that's how that went. So let's watch this news clip. And this is what they're doing on the mass deportations. People don't understand. They are not going to go after the farm workers, the field workers. They're not going to do that. Now, if they're criminals, yes, they're going to do that. But the everyday citizen that's paying taxes, or everyday, whether they're here legally or illegally, do I see them sweeping everybody? No, hell no. We wouldn't have a workforce here if that was the case. So let's get myself small here. And I just did the wrong one. I always do that. All right, so I'm going to put myself, let's say, down over here. Make myself small. And let's listen and see what goes on here.
They're wasting no time. And ICE is making nearly 500 arrests in the span of just 33 hours. The New York Post cover, the ICE man cometh. President Trump also signing more executive orders, including one designed to block illegal crossings. And he told Sean Hannity that Joe Biden's failed policies forced him to take swift action.
Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country? Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it. Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen? And even now, I watch them on television, they're trying to justify it. You can't justify it.
So what do you think of that? Like they said, due to Joe Biden's horrible border policy that was in effect when Trump left office the first time, and the first day as president, he opened the border. He reversed it. Now, what do you think of that? Like I said, you had an open invitation to go to from anywhere, and they're coming from all these other countries. It's not Mexico that they're worried about. It's all these countries with terrorists and things of that nature that are coming across the border. But they're coming through the southern border and the Mexico border. They're flying in, however they're getting to Mexico, and then they're coming across the border because it's open.
ICE raids taking place in many parts of the country, including the sanctuary city of Boston. That's where Bill Malutian went on an exclusive right along with ICE, and Bill joins us now to tell us what he found and what he saw. Bill, good morning.
Bill, good morning to you as well. In the early days of this new Trump administration, ICE officials tell me they're taking what they call a worst first approach, meaning they're going to target the worst of the worst criminal alien offenders first. Well, we were given exclusive access to join the elite ICE team right here in Boston as they go into sanctuary jurisdictions and enforce immigration law.
Good morning, everyone.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
So, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
I think my mic was off when I was commenting on the Haitian, and I was talking about if it wasn't good, I'm just going to say it again. He was saying F Trump, thank you Joe Biden, Obama, whatever. He was saying, well, yeah, because Joe Biden opened up the country. He's from Haiti, and some of those third world countries over there, it's okay to do things like they're doing here in the United States. But here it's not okay. But you just heard where these people got released in these sanctuary cities after committing a crime and letting them go. Crazy. I'm going to get to something here in a minute as soon as this is just about over, I believe so.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day. Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
And guys, shortly after we finished filming, ICE Boston told us they arrested 2 more targets in other parts of town away from our cameras. One of those targets is a previously deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested for raping a woman while putting a gun in her mouth. The other target they got is a Haitian man who first flew into the United States in 2023 as part of President Biden's controversial migrant flights mass parole program. Well, they just picked him up yesterday because he's been arrested locally for sexual assault. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Joe Biden's policy or the left's policy, whoever you want to say, that administration is the one that created this. Now, have you heard in this whole thing, one Hispanic from Mexico, a Mexican national? No. They're from all other countries, as you just heard. And guess what? Most of their crimes were sexual assault crimes and other things of that nature, violent crimes. So that's what they're doing. They're not worried about the people that are working hard jobs, that's been here, paid their taxes. That's just a blanket statement, but also the mainstream media pushing it more than ever to scare all these people. Just like they did with everything. They always try to scare everybody, and that's their way, and that's the way they get down. Fear-mongering and things and misinformation. But that's what they do. So that you'll turn and be like, well, you know. All right, so I don't think there's anything else to this, but there might be a minute left.
We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malugin, it was fascinating to watch all of that. I think I was just saying to Bill, this is terrible for Joe Biden and the legacy that he tried to leave behind. A question from me, how soon will they actually be leaving the country? Does that take a long time?
It depends what country they're from. If they're from cooperable countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, countries like that, it can be quick. It can be within days or weeks. If it's countries that are harder to deport, countries that don't cooperate with the U.S. as much, it can go into a process of months. But the Trump administration is changing policies with something called expedited removal. The bottom line is people at home don't need to understand all the policies. The Trump administration is just going to work as fast as they can to get all the people you just saw on camera there out of the country as fast as possible. They're also going to use their State Department, now led by Marco Rubio, to put pressure on countries that don't cooperate with the U.S. as much when it comes to those deportations.
Bill, just two points of clarification here. It seems a lot of these crimes are associated with sex crimes. I'm just looking at the list a bit earlier today. I don't know if that generally is the case or not. And second, if Boston's a sanctuary city, how are they allowed to do this? Because we told there would be resistance.
Boston doesn't have to cooperate with ICE, but there's nothing they can do to stop ICE from coming into their city and enforcing the law. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. And that's the point ICE makes to us is, look, they don't have to cooperate with our detainer requests. They don't have to tell our officers when they're releasing somebody from jail. But we're going to do our job. We have our intel guys out in the field. We have people with eyes all over the place, and we're going to snatch those guys. So they can make ICE's job more difficult, longer, and more dangerous, but it's not going to stop ICE from doing the job, guys. The bottom line is, ICE says it's safer for everybody involved if locals would just hand these guys over in jail once they're arrested, but they don't. They let them out onto the streets. They don't tell ICE about it, so ICE has to spend a lot of resources gathering intel, finding these guys, and then going out into the community to do arrests, which could be dangerous. You saw that combative Haitian man, and then you saw, in the case of that one MS-13 member, his friend got snagged. They weren't even looking for him. They were looking for the MS-13 guy. They picked him up because a sanctuary jurisdiction released the MS-13 guy. ICE found him and then found the guy who was in the apartment with. They found out he was an illegal alien as well. So now he's going to be deported too.
Wow.
Amazing. Bill Malugin, thank you so much.
All right, folks, that's what I got for you. Hopefully you can piece all that together to see they are getting these people out of here, these criminals, that bad crimes, sex crimes. A lot of these are majority sex crimes. And to get these predators out of our communities and send them back to wherever they came from, that's what it's about. We need to keep America safe. And again, people are taking this the wrong way because they're watching the wrong news or they're listening to the wrong thing. Get your facts straight. They're going after the violent offenders. Now, when they say, oh, we're going after everyone, blah, 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 or that, they're just trying to scare people, scare these, like the violent criminals or these criminals. And the criminals thinking, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to a sanctuary city. Now you see, it don't matter. Go to a sanctuary city all you want. If you're a criminal, you're getting out of here. And that's it. That's what I got for you today. I hope that helps in some way, shape, or form to clarify things for you on the mass deportation and what they're doing in this administration. And with that, see you on the next one. Peace out.